How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Infinite Sports. I'm your host, Kenneth Grunfelder, to recap Game 2 of the NBA Finals as the Knicks take a 2-0 series lead in a thriller, 105 to 104. It came down to the last shot, a miss by Victor Wembanyama. To be honest, I thought that shot was going in. He had a little bit of room going up against Mitchell Robinson there on that last possession, but it hit off the rim, bounced out. Knicks got the win, and they go up 2-0 going back to MSG. And I was wrong. I said I thought the Spurs were going to answer and get a win, tie the series, go back to the Garden at one game apiece. But the Knicks, some way, somehow found a way. And this was another game of runs where you had both teams, have their share of runs during this game, particularly in the second half. I want to highlight because the Knicks jump out to a 14-point lead, and you thought they were going to run away with it, and then all of a sudden, similar to kind of what happened in Game One, where they just could not make a shot for a little bit, and the Spurs, were able to rally and take the lead. And what ended up ending the scoring drought was OG Anunoby. Originally, they didn't call it, but OG Anunoby ended up getting fouled on a three-pointer. They reviewed it, and OG went to the line, made all three of his free throws, and just like that, the Knicks took the lead again. But for a little bit there, it was very concerning, the scoring drought that the Knicks were on. And, the Spurs did take the lead late once again. Wemby makes an and one, and then the Spurs go up by two. But Jalen Brunson, who once again did not have a good shooting night, and what he does, no matter if he has an off night or not, he hits a big shot to tie the game. And then what ends up happening is the Spurs end up turning the ball over, right? They get the ball, and Wemby is passing it out to Castle, and he doesn't see it. It hits off of him. Brunson gets it, and then Wemby ends up fouling him. Brunson makes the first free throw. He ends up missing the second, and then you had the final possession. The Spurs were kind of caught in flux there. They didn't know if they wanted to call a timeout. There was some confusion there from the Spurs, and sometimes obviously you got to be a good team to get to this point, but this goes for any sport. You do have to have a little bit of luck on your side, and the Knicks caught a huge break with that turnover. Now, Jalen Brunson uncharacteristically misses that second free throw. You expected him to make both. He misses the second one, and then the Spurs are getting the last possession, and if they make the shot, game's over. Right? There would be no overtime unless they the Knicks are up two and they try to launch a three. But the Spurs had the last shot. You had it in your best player's hands, and he missed it. You know, so what a game it was. And you talk about some of the other performances in this game, particularly with the Knicks, and obviously the Spurs. They came out very physical. This game was very physical all throughout. The officiating, some questionable calls. You had Jalen Brunson getting charged with the foul because he touched Vassell's hair on the three-pointer, and the broadcast team, Tim Legler and Richard Jefferson, were making jokes about that. So that there was that call. Then Josh Hart gets tangled up at one point. They don't call a foul against the Spurs there. Mitchell Robinson and Wemby were kind of shoving each other, but Mitchell Robinson got charged with the foul. There were some so calls in this game. We'll just put it like that. I mean, particularly the one with Brunson, like I just said to start. But to highlight, some of the other performances in this game. Right now, the Knicks have a 2-0 lead, and the best player in these NBA finals so far has been Karl-Anthony Towns. Whether it's getting those offensive rebounds, getting rebounds in general, being aggressive, getting to the basket, and shooting it from the outside beyond the three-point line. I mean, he's done it all. He really has. And, with Brunson not, shooting the basketball particularly well, that's the other thing too. I mean, it's Cat. I mean, and you're getting contributions from Mikal Bridges. I mean, he had a great game, went 8 of 13, and he was shooting with a lot of confidence. At one point, the Spurs were on the fast break. Knicks turned it over. OG Anunoby blocks the shot, and then the Knicks get it back. Bridges pulls up from three and knocks it down. I mean, he was hitting everything. Then had a bit of a heat check later in the game, but from three, I mean, he was unbelievable. Everything was falling for him. And he hasn't had game one didn't really do too much, so we were like, all right, let's see what happens in game two because he has done particularly well since they knocked out the Hawks in the final game. But this was a great game for him. OG Anunoby had some big shots in this game as well. The Knicks getting those offensive rebounds and kicking it back out to whether it's Shamet or Deuce McBride hitting threes in this game. I mean, Shamet not a great shooting night, went 5 for 12, but again still finished with 13 points. Everybody outside of Josh Hart who didn't have any points but had 6 rebounds and 4 assists. Cat once again a double double. Bridges 20 points. Cat had 21. Brunson had 20. Not a great shooting night for him. 7 to 25, but still made some big shots down the stretch. OG Anunoby 17. And then you look on the other side for the Spurs. Wemby had 29. Vassell had 14. Castle had 14. De'Aaron Fox had a better game, had 20 points. Got off to a good start. Dylan Harper 15 points off the bench. Was aggressive getting to the basket. The Knicks had some problems there, and Champagnie had 8. Hit a shot similar to what Deuce McBride hit in game one in the corner, banked it in. But yeah, I mean, there were times where, the Spurs really were giving the Knicks trouble. The Knicks in certain possessions, they just couldn't, find an open look. And there were times where the shot clock expired and they just, couldn't get anything. But again, this was a game of runs. And, again, the Knicks got some breaks in this game. Some things didn't go their way necessarily. The challenge at the end, very important. OG knocked down all those free throws, and obviously, it doesn't matter if Brunson's having a good game or not. He didn't have a particularly great game once again, but he hits the big shots when he needs to. And he did that once again. Again, missed the second free throw, which you thought like, what did that just happen? Because he's money at the free throw line. But and the Knicks, they had their final stand. Wemby missed a shot, and they're up 2 games to nothing, going back to the Garden. And look, I don't want to guarantee that this series is over, but it really is trending in that direction now because now the Knicks have just taken the first 2 games of these NBA Finals on the road. And now they're going back to MSG. And that place is going to be a madhouse. And also because it's just been so long since we've seen an NBA Finals game being played at Madison Square Garden. We haven't seen that in years. And now we're going to have that opportunity on Monday night. And the Knicks haven't lost. Again, the winning streak just continues. 13 straight playoff games. I mean, this is an unbelievable run that this team has been on. And once again, they're just they're up 2-0, but they're still taking it one game at a time. You hear what these players are saying after the game. They're not satisfied. Obviously there's, a tad bit of celebration. There has to be. But they still got 2 more. And then once that happens, then the celebration can really begin. But the job is not finished. It is not finished. And these 2 games have been very tough. The Knicks have really had to earn it in these 2 games. They've had to come back, and we've talked about it numerous times. This team can overcome deficits no matter what. We've seen it so many times with this group that, if they fall behind, they can come back. And they have proved that in these first 2 games. Now, they also have had stretches in these 2 games where they struggle to shoot the basketball and score points. And you thought, particularly in game 2, that it was really going to come back to bite them. Because this happened in the fourth quarter, and game 1 it happened in the third quarter. This was towards the end of the game. I mean, you get to the 6-minute mark in the fourth quarter, and they were up 14 points. You thought the game was over, and then all of a sudden they just couldn't make their shots, and the Spurs went on a run. Wemby hits that 3. right? And the Spurs went on a run. But things changed, like I said, when, the Knicks caught the break with the foul on OG. Again, Brunson hits that clutch shot, and then obviously the turnover. Those are three key moments in in this game that helped the Knicks win. But again, contributions all throughout the roster. I mean, this team is locked in right now. I mean, I'm gonna keep saying that with every game. The Spurs, look, I mean, it's not like they've played. I mean, they both teams really haven't shot the ball well, but the Spurs could have won these two games too. They had their chances, but they're down 0-2. But I mean, it really would be quite something if the Knicks end up sweeping this series. I just can't see it. I think the Spurs are going to get a game. I know they're going to get a game. And if they don't, well, then once again, I'll come on and say I was wrong. But, the Spurs have thrown a lot at the Knicks and they just keep responding. So now they're going to have to deal with the MSG crowd and the Knicks are going to feed off of that. I mean, if Brunson gets it going, and he has a Jalen Brunson game where he drops like 30 plus points and he's, efficient with it, and you have all the complementary pieces around him playing well. I mean, it's going to be tough for the Spurs to, keep up with that, and especially being at the Garden. So we'll see how it goes, but the Knicks are looking really good, and they are 2 wins away from a championship. And I really didn't expect them to get to this point. Um, I was like a lot of people that just, didn't feel like it was going to happen, but they really turned a lot of people's heads during this run. And we're at the point where it's like, yeah, they can do this. I mean, we are past that point. Um, the Eastern Conference, we've talked about it. People kind of dismiss it like, oh yeah, they really didn't play anybody. But I mean, again, you just look at how they won those games and look at what they've done in these first two games. They belong. They do. And now they're 2 wins away. And if they finish the job, nobody can say anything about this team, really. This team has earned it. They got the mindset, you know, eh, they can get this done. And like I said the last time, I do think they will get it done. And I'm not somebody that often shows a lot of confidence in certain teams that I have a rooting interest in over the years. But watching this run, you know, obviously, yes, when you get to the finals, that was going to be the toughest opponent, like whether it was the Thunder or the Spurs. But the amount of comments that you were seeing on social media, like, oh, they're going to get swept, they're going to get a reality check. No, this team is legit, and they're going to give, whether it was the Spurs and whether it was the Thunder, they're going to give one of those teams a hard time. And look at what we're seeing right now. Spurs are down 2-0. So the Knicks belong. They're playing really well. They're hitting big shots. Everybody's contributing. I mean, this has been quite the run, and it's not over yet. So game 3 is tomorrow night at the Garden. It's going to be a packed house. It's going to be a madhouse. And let's see if the Spurs can respond and get on the board. But if the Knicks win tomorrow night, series is over. And it's really over. And yeah, there would be a small chance, very, very small chance, because not in basketball, but there have been teams that have come back from 3-0 deficits. There have been teams that have, but there have been teams that have come back from 3-1 deficits. We've seen that over the years. It's not impossible, but down 3-0, and the Knicks, we've seen what they've done to teams when they're up 3-0 in the last two rounds. And to be able to win a championship at the Garden, I mean, that would be quite something. I mean, they could still do that even if they don't sweep. Like if the series goes 6 games, I mean, I said it was going to go 7, but we'll see. But Knicks are looking good. Knicks are looking good. And then just a couple of baseball things. The Mets took the series against the Padres over the weekend here. 7 games under still. Still waiting on some guys to come back. I mean, look, it's really going to have to, they're really going to have to go on a run here to get themselves back in it. You know, they had a scoring opportunity with Juan Soto last night up at the plate, and, you know, he lined out. Not trying to say that Soto's a problem, although it's not a good look. He was not sprinting to first base in that game on, what was it, was it Friday? That was not a good look. But listen, the Mets still won the game, so you live with it. And you also just live with it just because it's Juan Soto and he's having a great year. But yeah, I think Alvarez is beginning a rehab assignment. Lindor is starting to ramp things up, so hopefully they get him back soon. I mean, look, it's still a long season, so you never know. But the Mets have a long way to go if they're going to want to, you know, make a run. And then as for the Yankees, last night's game got rained out. They lost on Friday. Ryan Weathers, not great. Also, some costly defensive miscues in the field that kind of led to some runs for the Red Sox. I mean, the Red Sox are a team that doesn't have power. You know, they hit a couple of home runs. Yankees ended up losing there. But they did win today on Sunday, whenever you're watching it. It was 1-1 going into the bottom of the eighth inning. Cody Bellinger hit a solo home run to take the lead. Yankees tacked on some more runs. Jazz Chisholm, the big blow, a 3-run homer, which he hit it with Aaron Judge's bat. Now, he went 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts and then, you know, decided I'm going to use Judge's bat and hit a 3-run homer. So he's got Judge's bat. He's wearing Giancarlo's pants. So he's collecting the Infinity Stones of baseball players on his team. But no, that was good to see from Jazz. And actually, with that home run, Jazz Chisholm did reach 50-50 with the Yankees. It was like, what, over 280 games with the Yankees. He has 50 home runs and 50 stolen bases. So, hey, you technically reached 50-50. But yeah, you still got a long way to go with that. But like I said, with this team now with Judge being out, the two guys that homered in the eighth inning, those are two guys, and along with Ben Rice, obviously, those 3 guys have to carry this offense while Judge is out. Have to. Stan's going to come back soon. Dominguez has started a rehab assignment, so you're going to get more reinforcements there. But those guys have to be at the forefront. And then also some other news: Austin Wells is on the IL, dealing with some headaches. He didn't really know like when they started, but he said he feels better today. So the Yankees brought up Ali Sanchez, the right-handed catcher from the minor leagues. So J.C. Escarra got sent down, and they brought him back up because of this. You know, he was originally, sent down, for Ali Sanchez, but now Escarra is back up, with Wells on the IL. But it seems like it's going to be a short stint, but we'll see. There's going to be more tests that come along with it. Also, Anthony Volpe, not a great day. Defensively, didn't make a good throw to home plate. The Yankees, I think it was Rafaela coming home on the play, and Bellinger made a nice throw. It looked like they had a chance, but then Volpe just threw the ball wide, and the runner ended up scoring to tie the game. So that wasn't great. Yeah, I'm curious to see what's going to happen when Dominguez and Stanton do come back. Because to be honest, I mean, I don't know. They're not going to DFA McMahon. I know I've brought that up, but I just don't see that happening. I think what's going to end up happening is, well, Spencer Jones was up, and he actually had a good day on Friday. He had 3 hits, so that's good. But I think what's going to end up happening is they're going to probably, they're probably going to send down. I think they're either going to send down Spencer Jones or going to send down Schumann or DFA Schumann. I'm not sure what his options are. And then honestly, because DFAing McMahon, I don't think is going to happen. I think they're going to send down Volpe. I think you have to do that because you have Rosario, you got Caballero that could play, all over the place. Like Rosario could play like all the infield positions. Caballero, same thing. They both could play an outfield position. Like Volpe just plays shortstop. You know, like Rosario could play short. They had McMahon play short. Like those guys. Like I mean, obviously McMahon's they're just testing it out, but they got guys that could play multiple positions. They got the flexibility there. Like Volpe doesn't provide that. He only plays shortstop. I know they're gonna like test him out at second base, but I just think that McMahon's got a great glove at third base. And the Yankees had a nice double play that they turned today. And Volpe was a part of that, of course. But I think that's what you got to do. You know, send Volpe down, and then I guess it's Schumann, and then you got Stanton and Dominguez up here, and give Spencer Jones and Dominguez a chance to play as much as they can. And the other thing too is though, I mean Trent Grisham actually, this is where I think Spencer Jones could get sent back down again, is because now Trent Grisham is starting to hit again. I think he had 3 more hits today. Was a part of that 5-run 8th inning. So looking at him right now, so currently Trent Grisham, he's got his average up to 222. He's got a 736 OPS. He went 3 for 4 today. In his last 7 games, he's batting 296. His last 15 games, he's batting 375. He's got 21 hits in his last 56 at bats, a couple of home runs. He's starting to hit a little bit. So obviously, if he's hitting, I got to take him out of the lineup. But Volpe, last 7 games, batting 120. Last 15, he's batting 226. I think he's going to have to get sent back down. But it could be Spencer Jones, depending on. I mean, Spencer Jones hits a little bit. Maybe he stays up. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what the Yankees do. But Spencer Jones actually came in to pinch hit for Ali Sanchez, and he went up against the Red Sox reliever, Tyron Guerrero. And Guerrero was throwing over 100 miles an hour. Guy was hitting 103. And Spencer Jones, like his helmet came off. I mean, he was swinging out of his shoes in that at bat. I mean, it was kind of like his major league debut, right? Right? Was his major league debut against Mizorowski? Like, I mean, that's just tough for him. But I mean, at least Friday, he had the 3 hits, so maybe something clicked in AAA. Hopefully, I mean, we'll see. I hope it works out with Spencer Jones. I hope it works out with him and Dominguez. Like, I hope that's the future outfield for the Yankees, and then we'll see. With Judge and Wright and Bellinger, we'll see. Um, but look, the Yankees just got to take it one game at a time. I know it's very cliche to say, but it's true. You just got to take it one game at a time. Yankees now are tied for first place with the Rays. Rays just continue to slide. And you know what? You got a good rotation. Cam Schlittler, gave the Yankees enough, and the bullpen, shut it down. You just got to keep it going. Schlittler today, 5 2/3 innings, 5 strikeouts. Fernando Cruz, Brenton Hedrick, Tim Hill, Bednar, they did the job. And Fernando Cruz and Hedrick actually have been pretty good. They both have ERAs under 2 now. Tim Hill, the outing before this was, or the outing or two before this was not great. Bednar obviously has been not great either. But there's going to be reinforcements at the deadline. LeGrande is going to be up at some point, and didn't do too bad in his first relief appearance. And Giovanni Cruz, I would suspect, is going to be back up at some point. So the Yankees bullpen, keep saying it, it's going to be different. It will be different, and it's going to be better. To me, the biggest thing is the offense. It doesn't matter how great this rotation is, or if they fix up this bullpen, the lineup has to hit. Has to. Because once you get to the playoffs, you're facing really good pitching, and you can't have a lineup that's going to strike out, 10 plus times. Can't. So, you got to be able to score runs. You got to be able to get big hits in clutch moments, and that's something that's kind of plagued the Yankees at times. You know, in the Judge era, but they have not had a rotation in the Judge era like they have now. Max Fried is going to be back soon. I mean, this rotation, when it's healthy, and hopefully nobody else gets hurt, knock on wood. But Max Fried is going to come back, and this rotation at full strength, I mean, it's going to be quite something. And Rodon is starting to figure it out. Cole's been great. Schlittler's been great. He's the leading candidate for the Cy Young in the American League. I mean, and then you got Weathers and Warren. Max Fried's going to come back. And then maybe you see Clark Schmidt down the line. I feel like Clark Schmidt could be a trade candidate. I feel like could the Yankees maybe get something for him? Because, I mean, now that you got this surplus of pitching, you could definitely trade somebody. And I feel like he could be that. And also, I mean, his value obviously is not very high because, he's hurt right now. But maybe the Yankees could get something for him. I don't know. And then obviously, like Luis Heel, too. I mean, he's, now not part of the equation with him getting hurt once again. Well, getting sent down and then getting hurt. It is quite a shame because Luis Heel was really good in 2024, but injuries have just kind of hurt him as of right now. So, but listen, take it one game at a time, like I said with the Yanks. And, they begin a series once again. So they just played the Guardians. Now they're going to be playing them again, this time in Cleveland. And we'll be reminded once again when Hunter Gaddis takes the mound for the Guardians that, oh yeah, this is the pitcher that Juan Soto hit the home run off of. Because they did it in the last series too. And I'm just like, can we stop reminding Yankee fans about that? Like we know. But yeah, they'll be playing the Guardians again. We'll see if the Yankees can bounce back against them there, and then we go from there. But yeah, NBA Finals in full swing. Also, a great game last night in the Stanley Cup Finals. Vegas, had a big lead, and then the Hurricanes came back, and then Vegas was able to win in double overtime. 5-4, the final score was there. So that was a really good game. Just wanted to throw that in there as well. And also any football news that comes up, we will talk about it. Actually, we'll have to at some point we'll go over the Giants' schedule. I think I definitely want to do that. This week, talk about the schedule because we really haven't done that. Because the schedule came out and we did the video with Dami, but there's some other things I want to touch upon with that. So, as always, everybody, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the video, to the channel. Make sure to follow us on the social media platforms in the description below. And wherever you get your podcasts, make sure to follow us as well. Just look up Infinite Sports, and you'll find us there. And as always, everybody, I'm your host, Kenneth Grunfelder, signing off. Have a good one, and I will talk to you guys next time. Take care.